Hey, 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 hey. How to do, how to do, how to do. Y'all know how this goes. Let's jump right into it.
Santa Claus?
Yes.
As in Kris Kringle.
Saint Nick, Papa Noel, call him what you want, but he was tonguing my mom.
Are you sure?
I saw it!
And where was this?
Underneath the mistletoe.
Right.
She didn't see me creep down the stairs to have a peek.
Okay.
The hussy thought I was tucked up in my bedroom fast asleep.
Why are you rhyming?
Wait.
What if this omnibenevolent being is my real dad?
Jesus.
Yeah, just like his story.
I didn't mean...
Dad is a carpenter.
I don't think your father
Is Father Christmas? Do you think maybe she was kissing your dad, who was dressed up as Santa?
Oh.
I mean, you do know Santa isn't
A homewrecker?
No.
A filthy old man?
No.
The Christmas creeper?
Real! He isn't real.
You should tell your 2 o'clock. This is gonna take some time.
I've learned this week that there are adults that are still that delusional. They're, and there are people, because of 23andMe, Ancestry.com, and so on and so forth, are learning that their Santas aren't their daddies. But we'll come into yet again this conversation of how the patriarchy has fooled you all later. You'll understand if you stick start to finish. But let's go into the next one.
Family Matters did more damage to the black community than Living Single and Martin ever did. I'm being so serious and speaking my truth. Jaleel White, who played Steve Urkel, said that Family Matters often got ranked lower than the aforementioned shows, and that people think that if it's not a hood story, it's not a black story, but we shouldn't be conflating this issue. He acting like Living Single was Snowfall. Be for real. That's not the reason why so many people like Living Single and Martin over Family Matters. It's not because they're hood stories. Khadijah wasn't the publisher and editor of her own magazine Flavor to be disrespected in this way. Maxine was a lawyer, they were working professionals, and Overton was a handyman. Martin was a DJ, Gina worked at a PR firm, and they made fun of Cole for not having a job, so to suggest that these are hood stories is offensive. You know what is offensive? Steve Urkel. Growing up as a black nerd, you were going to get called Steve Urkel whether you wanted to or not. This was always an insult because no one wanted to be Steve Urkel. He was too extreme. I didn't know anybody like that. Urkel set the black nerd community back like 500 years. We're still dealing with the consequences. I'm a black nerd with black nerd friends, and none of us ever acted like that. Urkel in Family Matters was like Black Alf. He was more alien than human. It wasn't until Virgil Hawkins and Static Shock came around that we got positive blurred representation. Living Single and Martin were aspirational. Those were characters who I wanted to be when I grew up, not Urkel. Family Matters was a family sitcom, and those can be over the top to make people laugh, which is fine, but it also meant that I couldn't relate to it as much. This takes nothing away from Family Matters. It still has an important place in TV history. But its lack of popularity in the black community compared to other shows isn't because it's not a hood show, it's because it's not as culturally relevant. And Martin had caricatures like Shanae, which is a whole other conversation, but the point is they're not hood stories. It's just dangerous rhetoric to equate black shows to hood shows just because they're not purely wholesome. Please choose your words wisely.
As always, let me add further context because I'm a black nerd. I'm a blerd that wears glasses, and I'm a woman. And we know the trope within these romanticized movies that she's hot after she takes off her glasses and spruces up her hair and throws on some makeup. Jaleel White didn't have the projection to his stardom that he thought that he should because he bought into identity politics. He bought into white is right. That's why he has exclusively dated and mated with white women. This is why he buys into stereotypes and tropes wholeheartedly. Because, first of all, people have talked for years about different dynamics within family matters that they actually aligned with. And these were the kids that lived in ultra white suburbs. He ignored them and the fact that he gave them an outlet. Family Matters really didn't tackle any of the issues that we truly had within the Black community. They tried to, but they did it in a very cartoonish way. They did it in a very whitewashed way, but we still tuned in. Steve Urkel was a stalker who fell in love with a narcissist. And the person who finally fell in love with Steve Urkel was a stalker and a sexual assaulter. Like, there was so much problematic behavior that was being normalized within that show that he's avoiding. And he believed that because he was the teenage star that wasn't supposed to even be a cast member, that he should take things for granted that he should not have. And he didn't have the family basis. He didn't have that Black family dynamic that is now allowing him to completely align with the Eurocentric standard. And when we got Stefan, it further pushed the narrative of someone being the quintessential mate because of aesthetics and not content of character or anything else, which did a disservice for generations that didn't have parents like mine that would sit next to you and explain things. So when you had to put it together for yourself, no. But Jaleel White didn't want accountability. He didn't want it then, he doesn't want it now. He thought that a caricature that he put forward, that he didn't want to be assigned to him and aligned with him for the rest of his days, would give him great wealth and notoriety while not forever attaching itself to him. I guess he ignored Elvira and Pee Wee Herman. Huh. I guess. And this is what we mean by old skin folk ain't kinfolk. And there is a such thing as internal. You know what? Let's move on to the next point.
2 months ago, I said I didn't want to enter into the Madelton Pendleton discourse, and then I jumped in with both feet and started a whole series called White Women Let's Talk About Race. And today we're going to talk about it some more. I'm going to start out by saying two things that may seem contradictory at first, but I need you to sit with them. If you've been watching the series, you may know where I'm going. The first thing, Madeline Pendleton is racist. The second thing, that does not have to be a problem. Madeline Pendleton, or anyone for that matter, being racist is not a problem unless they are unwilling to examine the ways in which they are racist and the ways that that racism harms those around them. Everyone grown and raised in the United States is racist because it is so ingrained in our society. If you think that you are not racist and do not have any racist thoughts, what that means is that you are not examining close enough what you are thinking. You are not aware enough of your implicit bias because it is impossible to exist in this society without being a part of the racist structure that it is built upon. And so, Madeline Pendleton being racist does not have to be a problem unless she is unwilling to examine that racism. I don't actually want to talk about Madeline Pendleton and her being racist. I want to talk about you and you being racist and me being racist, and how us talking about her being racist doesn't actually do any work to become anti-racist and further the work of anti-racism. What I think a lot of us like to do, we do the same thing when we're talking about Republicans, when we're talking about conservatives. We see them and we say, look at them do the bad thing, at least I'm not like them. And we do the same thing in a more pronounced way when it's somebody's on the left, because they've been put on this platform, they've been elevated as morally superior because they're on the left. So then when they do the bad thing, not only do they do the bad thing, but they're a hypocrite about doing the bad thing. And we would rather ostracize them, dogpile on them, and point out how far away they are from the morals that we all believe, than examine the fact that we are doing the same thing. And I think that that's an important thing, because we are all capable of doing the exact same shit that Madeline did. And this is not in defense of her. Frankly, I don't care that much about what she's doing. What I do think is really important is to talk about what all of us are doing in relationship to it. Because this is somebody that a lot of people have held in high regard for a long time. This is somebody that a lot of people have learned from. And this is somebody that now has maybe dug a hole for themselves. And that is not negating the harm that she may be enacting against Black Americans. It's not negating that harm. It is, however, saying that every single one of us is capable of that harm. And rather than sit with that and sit with that discomfort, we would rather spend all of this time talking about how bad it is that she did that harm. And that doesn't do shit. It creates, there is such a bit, first of all, there's a huge racism problem on the left. We all think we're better than that. We're not. We think because, I've already talked about that. There's a huge racism. There's also a huge moral superiority problem on the left. It's one of the things that we get criticized so frequently for that is a very valid criticism. We think we're better than everyone else. We think we are more morally superior to everyone else. And we're not. And we are just as capable. And we refuse to believe that we could be capable of the bad thing, but we are capable of the bad thing. We all do the bad thing every day. And the fact that in my video where I said that I have at least one racist thought per day, I had so many people say, oh, that's a you problem, I don't have that problem, tells me that y'all are not examining that you do the bad thing. You do the bad thing. You are the bad person. You're a part of the bad system. And until each one of us acknowledges that, there will be no correcting of the bad thing. There will be no moving forward of the bad system. We will just sit here and say, oh, I'm not bad. Oh, my best friend's not bad. Oh, they're not bad. Ooh, that one bad person over there that I can see over there that said they were good, that did the bad thing, they're the problem. Let's kick them out of the group. Let's leave them no room for growth. And let's point out how bad they are so we don't have to sit with the fact that we might be bad too. That's all I've got.
So, we have shifted what it means to be the default damsel in distress. That's what she's trying to say. Hey, it's not just white people that have racism, because if you paid attention to her, she said we're all guilty of racism, which is not true. And she's saying, oh, it's not a bad thing that this person is doing it, even though they're not on the side that I'm on. Because I'm on this side. And other people want to point out to me what I'm doing wrong. We shouldn't pay attention to that, because we all have this. We're all in the same. No. Because when you're deconstructing, you're going to point things out. You're going to distance yourself. And she doesn't want to be distanced because she doesn't want to deconstruct. She wants to have a platform where she says pretty things. And she wants to still be able to have, as she said, those racist thoughts, and you not judge her for it, because to be labeled racist is more important than overcoming racism and dealing with racism. And there are so many people, oh, you're right. No, she's not. She's not giving some deep existential remedy to what's going on. She's saying, keep me comfortable where I'm comfortable. Don't push me forward. Don't call me out. Let me sit comfortably in my racism and let me decide what parts of the racism I will get away from that will keep me from being canceled. Sit in that for a minute, rewind it, watch it back. And that's how a lot of white people are growing platforms, are getting applause, are becoming the spokespeople for the Black community, the Black, brown, indigenous, people of color community, all over all platforms. Because y'all will sit here and say, somebody like me, oh, Todd, you're underrated. No, I'm under listened to. I'm under supported. And I'm not the only one. You will quickly listen to someone that tells you that it's okay to be problematic and pretend. Let me repeat, it's okay to be problematic and pretend to have allegiance and alliance to those that are the actual targets of racism. Because at the end of the day, they're giving you a gateway to choose whiteness over rightness. Let me repeat, they're giving you a gateway to choose whiteness over rightness. They are letting you stand on the wrong side of history because they're trying to tell you that, even though things have changed and people can chronicle everything that we say and nothing goes away, and you can pull up anything that I say, I know my fellow white people they'll just start my history from here because I said I'm sorry and white people accepted my apology. Even though we all know my apology wasn't genuine. No. See, before y'all could get away with it, because people are just now piecing together who was who in those pictures that are in textbooks that are all over the internet of y'all not wanting desegregation, of y'all spitting on literal children, of y'all gifting human beings to another person, of y'all taking the bones and the skin of literal human beings, of y'all throwing away hope chests filled with slave records that could connect people. Y'all don't want to hear me? Y'all don't want to hear me for real. And the indoctrination goes so deep that y'all are willing to bring your friends along to listen to podcasts and join all the TikTok morning shows when someone that looks like me is just making jokes, is going off the rails. But when somebody is bringing you the seriousness and putting together calls of action, and once they've grown a following, they're not really putting together calls of action. They're telling you to subscribe to their Patreon. And I got a question. What has their Patreon done for you? Y'all willing to follow somebody and drop $35 out of their pocket, but you can't spend $5 or $10 to get the truth. You know what? I know y'all ain't ready. I know y'all ain't ready. I know y'all ain't ready. You go by numbers and then sit back and complain that there's no forward motion. Y'all been waiting decades for the revolution to be televised, and then soon as we get a monochrome of an inkling that the revolution just might be occurring, let alone if it's televised or not, you want to go and clamor to those that ain't saying shit about the revolution. But then sit back and complain. And then complain on talking points that been debunked for you. You know what? You know what? You know what? Yeah. Who am I to keep bringing you the truth for free? You know what? And you say that you don't buy into identity politics, but if somebody has fair skin and looser coils, or is a stud that's aesthetically pleasing, then you all there all the way. You sit here and hear time after time after time after time again how to make things better for yourself, but you don't want to join in because mm-hmm.
2 months ago, I said I didn't want to.
Only picture I have of them together because they divorced when I was like 1. So yeah, this is my mom. I think we favor each other when her hair is straight. Like it's relaxed and straight. I think we favor a little bit. And then this one.
Now there's been a big conversation about Travis Hunter floating around the internet, but I decided to play that clip when I did because a lot of you all are ignoring a whole lot of bigger conversations that need to be had because you don't want to admit that you share the standards that this woman has. This is a woman who admitted that even to this day, her fiance isn't her type. Financially, he's her type, and she understands that she's not there for the best of reasons. So when you see videos and pictures and clips of her going, "Why you got me sitting here by myself?" Because she knows that the next woman can come up and whisper sweet nothings in his ear and tell him that they're better than what she's providing, that they're gonna leave her for him and be a and a lot of you all buy into these identity we gotta look a certain way to be this. I'm not conservative, but you know when I walk up into my church, I gotta take this off and I gotta do this, and you know they're gonna judge you for this, that, and the other. When I go this place and that place, I gotta dress a certain. That's identity politics. You cannot. Here's the thing: there are conservatives that say that they're conservative, but they don't live a conservative lifestyle. There are liberals and leftists that say that they're liberals and leftists, but they don't live a liberal and leftist lifestyle. I need y'all to align yourself according to how you actually live. Let me repeat, I need y'all to align yourself politically how you actually live. Because the thing about it is, y'all keep voting and getting all twisted up and having to cut your undergarments off because you're living a lie. You're sitting here saying what's popular on whatever comes up on your news feed, on whatever social media platform that you're on. But that's not how you really living. That's not how you really feel. It just gets you clicks, likes, views, and some clout, but it ain't even getting you paid. Like if you gonna work for free for something, work for free for what you actually believe in. Let me repeat, work for free for what you actually believe in. Because those of y'all that are like, yeah, I believe in women's rights, but every day that you live, you talking over a woman. You shutting her down. You telling her what she should think, how she should feel, every which way. You gaslighting her from the top to the bottom, then turn around looking at her going, baby, you gaslighting me, because she's trying to tell you that you're abusing her. And those of y'all that like, oh, well, I'm liberal with a little bit of conservatism. No, the fuck you're not, because there's no such fucking thing. Because you need to realize when conservatism came about. So you cannot be melanated and be conservative, because you need to realize what they're trying to conserve. And you can't say that you're conservative and you've moved ahead with the times, because you have conserved nothing. And for those of y'all that are fighting against progressivism, do you know how to use the internet? Oh, guess what? You're progressive, because progressive means moving along, progressing with the times. Let's be real with what things actually mean and what you're actually standing behind. A lot of y'all just have a problem aligning with certain movements because of the faces of the movements, but you live your life every day upholding what the fuck they're putting down. So just say it publicly, so people know and they can fucking avoid you. Let's move on.
People need to stop trying to save Travis Hunter. I've seen a lot of people try to give Travis Hunter advice, including Godfrey. But what do you know? Travis did exactly what you expect a young, inexperienced man to do, and told Godfrey that he's old and he should stop speaking on it. I believe this is a lesson he has to learn for his own personal development. If he leaves her, he robs himself of the opportunity to learn a lesson in one of two scenarios. The first is the obvious. He goes down the path of divorce and alimony and learns the lessons in that scenario. He ignores all the signs, he continues to further emotionally invest himself into her, and he goes down that path, where she eventually and inevitably leaves him and takes with her everything that he's worth. But in my personal opinion, the lessons that he will learn in the second scenario are even more important, because that's the scenario where he stays and learns in real time how a change in his behavior leads to a change in his woman's behavior towards him. Because don't get it twisted, Travis Hunter's girl or fiance is not a bad person. She's not a bad woman. She's simply doing what any other woman would do in her position, given their biological design. She's a woman that is comfortable in her relationship and 100% reassured.
Absolutely not. She is not comfortable in her position because she got her position by ill-gotten gains. She's completely insecure in her position because she realizes that the power dynamic isn't what she thought that it was going to be. She realizes that beauty is not a greater value than monetary gain, that there are more people seeking out what she's seeking out, monetary stability, than there is people seeking out a beautiful trophy. This is why men shouldn't speak on women, because men do not, just like white people do not take the time to truly study non-white people, men don't take the time to study women. Men decide based on what men say and what men complain about regarding their rejection as to what women are looking for. And it's never based on truth or fact, because men are more ego driven than anything else. This is why the man giving commentary doesn't realize that the fiance is feeling like she's feeling, is because now she's in the realm of it and she realizes she overestimated her stock exchange quota. She overestimated what she could pull off. And now she needs to pull him away from anybody and anything that would boost his ego, that would boost his self-esteem, that would cause him to open his eyes to what she's trying to do to him. What she's trying to do is what she's seen men in her neighborhood with barely 2 pennies to rub together to get a woman. And she thought that that game was going to work on somebody that would eventually wake up and realize he got options. Not just from his personality, not just from his meager upbringing, because he ain't got no friends that's actually whispering in his ear and getting his ass together. And don't be like, yeah, Taz, he has friends that David. No. Because they would have warned him when she finally, after years of him being in her DMs, like, hold up, wait a minute. The fact that she did, like, if you know their history, you know. I'm not about to break it down. And it happens far too often. Men, women, non-binary individuals, where you have people that they want to see your demise. And don't think it's because they think that you're aesthetically pleasing. They just want to feel better than you for a multitude of reasons. It is what it is. And as always, I thank you all for joining me. I know this is a short show, but I will see you all again on Thursday. Well, actually, I won't see you all here on Thursday. I'll see you over on TikTok because Lies About Black People will be moved from Wednesday to Thursday this week. And we'll get into it there. As always, each one teach one, each one reach one. Think about everything tonight.